The restaurant chains you have trusted for decades are not what they used to be. That comfortable pub you have been visiting for Sunday lunch? The ingredients have changed. That family restaurant where you celebrated birthdays? The portions have shrunk while prices have soared. That cafe chain you thought served fresh food? Most of it arrives frozen from industrial kitchens hundreds of miles away, reheated in microwaves, and served on plates that make it look homemade. For older generations who remember when restaurant meals meant actual cooking, real ingredients, and honest portions, today's chain restaurants represent a fundamental betrayal. These establishments trade on nostalgia and familiarity while serving food that has been engineered in laboratories, mass-produced in factories, and designed to maximize profit margins rather than nourish customers. What makes this particularly concerning for seniors is the combination of factors that make these restaurants especially problematic. High sodium levels that are dangerous for anyone managing blood pressure or heart conditions. Hidden sugars that affect diabetes management. Processed ingredients that are harder to digest as metabolic systems slow with age. Portion manipulation that either leaves you hungry or forces you to overeat because the food lacks any real nutritional density. Over the next few minutes, we are exposing 12 restaurant chains that have become particularly egregious in their decline. These are not just places serving mediocre food. These are establishments that have systematically reduced quality while maintaining prices, that market themselves as family-friendly and traditional while serving industrial processed food, and that specifically target older customers with deals and atmospheres designed to create loyalty while delivering meals that range from disappointing to genuinely harmful. Number 12. Toby Carvery. Let's start with a restaurant that has become synonymous with Sunday roast for many British families, particularly older generations seeking that traditional meal experience. Toby Carvery markets itself on unlimited vegetables, generous meat portions, and that comforting pub atmosphere. But the reality behind those Carvery counters is far less appealing. The meat you are getting is not freshly roasted on site from quality joints. It is pre-cooked, delivered to restaurants, and finished in industrial ovens. The beef, turkey, pork, and gammon are all from mass catering suppliers, selected for cheapness and consistency rather than quality or flavor. The meat is often injected with water and brine to increase weight, meaning you are getting less actual meat and more liquid than appearances suggest. The vegetables, while technically pre-prepared, come from industrial kitchens. Carrots, peas, and cauliflower are par-cooked elsewhere, packaged, delivered frozen or chilled, and simply reheated on site. The gravy often comes from powder mixed with water and a meat stock that is more artificial flavoring than actual meat drippings. What is particularly concerning for older diners is the sodium content. A typical Toby Carvery meal with meat, vegetables, and gravy can contain over 3 grams of salt, half your daily recommended intake in one meal. For seniors managing high blood pressure or heart conditions, this level of sodium is genuinely dangerous when consumed regularly. The portion sizes are deceptive too. While vegetables are unlimited and encourage you to load your plate, the actual meat portion is carefully controlled to minimize costs. You might think you are getting a generous roast dinner, but you are primarily getting cheap vegetables and gravy with a small amount of processed meat. Number 11. Wetherspoons. Tim Martin's pub empire has become a fixture of British high streets, known for cheap drinks and even cheaper food. Many older customers are drawn to Wetherspoons because the prices seem reasonable and the atmosphere is familiar, but the food quality has become notorious even among budget establishments. Almost nothing served in Wetherspoons is cooked from scratch on premises. The kitchens are primarily reheating stations. Meals arrive frozen from central suppliers, are microwaved or briefly finished in ovens, and plated to look freshly prepared. That full English breakfast? The eggs might be the only thing cooked fresh. Everything else has been pre-cooked elsewhere. The curries, steaks, burgers, and fish dishes are all mass-produced in industrial facilities, frozen, distributed to pubs, and reheated to order. This is not cooking, it is food service assembly. The quality of ingredients is rock bottom because Wetherspoons' entire business model is based on being the cheapest option, which means buying the lowest grade ingredients available. For seniors, the combination of high sodium, low nutritional value, and heavy processing makes Wetherspoons particularly problematic. The meals are designed to be filling and cheap, not nourishing. You are getting calories and salt with minimal vitamins, minerals, or quality protein. Regular consumption means you are essentially eating convenience food from a microwave just served on a plate by someone else. The alcohol pricing that makes Wetherspoons attractive to many customers also creates environments where excessive drinking is normalized and encouraged. For older adults managing medications that interact with alcohol or dealing with health conditions affected by drinking, the cheap pints can become a health hazard disguised as a good deal. Number 10. Bella Italia. This Italian restaurant chain markets itself as authentic family dining with warm Italian hospitality. The reality is inauthentic. Much of the menu is industrial, Italian-themed food produced far from any Italian kitchen and designed to appeal to the British palate rather than to represent actual Italian cuisine. The pasta dishes that form the core of Bella Italia's menu are not made fresh. The chain uses dried pasta from bulk suppliers, cooked to order, but the sauces arrive pre-made from central kitchens. Those creamy carbonaras and rich bolognese sauces are reheated from plastic bags or containers, not freshly prepared with high-quality ingredients. The pizza bases are pre-made and frozen, topped with mass-produced toppings and finished in ovens. They are engineered for consistency across hundreds of locations, which means they are optimized for cost and shelf life rather than taste or quality. The cheese is bulk mozzarella that bears little resemblance to anything you would find in Italy. What is particularly problematic for older diners is the portion sizes and the way dishes are constructed. Bella Italia serves massive portions of carbohydrate-heavy dishes swimming in cream-based sauces or cheese. These meals are designed to feel indulgent and filling, but they are nutritionally unbalanced in ways that are especially problematic as metabolism slows with age. A typical creamy pasta dish at Bella Italia can contain over 1,000 calories and 4 grams of salt. That is more than half your daily calorie needs and 2/3 of your salt allowance in a single meal. For seniors managing weight, blood pressure, or cholesterol, these dishes are genuinely harmful when consumed regularly. If you are starting to realize how many of these chain restaurants you have been trusting without questioning what you are actually being served, subscribing would really help us continue investigating these establishments. We are exposing places that millions of British families eat at regularly, and what we are finding is deeply concerning. Number 9. Harvester. Another salad bar concept restaurant that appeals to older diners seeking value and healthy options. Harvester positions itself as offering fresh salads alongside main courses, creating the impression of nutritious, well-balanced meals. But the reality is considerably less wholesome. The famous unlimited salad bar, while technically fresh produce, is laden with high-calorie, high-sodium dressings and accompaniments. Coleslaw, potato salad, and pasta salads are all swimming in mayonnaise-based dressings that can add 400 to 500 calories to what should be a healthy salad. The croutons, bacon bits, and cheese offered as toppings are heavily processed and high in salt. The main courses suffer the same issues as most chain restaurants. Many components arrive pre-prepared, frozen, or chilled, and are simply finished on site with minimal actual cooking. The steaks are budget cuts from industrial suppliers, the chicken is mass-produced and may be water-injected, and the fish is frozen fillets from unknown sources. What frustrates us about Harvester is the health washing. By offering a salad bar, they create the impression that eating there is a healthy choice. But when you combine a salad drowning in creamy dressing with a main course that is heavily salted and processed, you are not eating healthily. You are eating industrial food with lettuce on the side. For seniors managing diabetes or trying to control blood sugar, the hidden sugars in those salad dressings and sauces are particularly problematic. What appears to be a sensible meal choice can spike blood sugar dramatically because of added sugars in components you would not expect to be sweetened. Number 8. Frankie and Benny's. Frankie and Benny's has been declining in quality for years, closing locations as customers realize the food does not justify even moderate prices. Many older customers still visit out of habit or because the atmosphere seems family-friendly and familiar. The menu is a confused mess of Italian dishes, American burgers, ribs, and Tex-Mex offerings, none of them executed well. The pasta is bulk-dried pasta with pre-made sauces. The burgers are frozen patties from mass suppliers. The ribs are pre-cooked, vacuum-sealed, and simply reheated and finished with sauce from a bottle. The portion sizes are aggressively large, designed to create perceived value. But these oversized portions of mediocre food are not value. They are a recipe for overeating processed ingredients. For older diners whose appetites and metabolic needs have decreased with age, these massive plates of food create pressure to either waste food or overeat beyond what is healthy. The sodium levels across the menu are concerning. Many main courses contain 3 to 4 grams of salt, sometimes more. The ribs, with their heavily salted seasoning and sauce, can push you over your entire daily sodium allowance in a single dish. For seniors managing blood pressure or heart conditions, eating at Frankie and Benny's regularly is genuinely risky. Number 7. Café Rouge. This French-themed chain promises bistro dining with Gallic charm. What you actually get is British chain restaurant food with French names and prices that do not reflect the quality being delivered. Café Rouge has been through multiple ownership changes, and each time the quality has declined while maintaining the pretense of French sophistication. The dishes that should showcase French cooking technique are reduced to reheated components. The coq au vin is pre-made in industrial kitchens, frozen, delivered, and microwaved. The moules marinières are frozen mussels in pre-made sauce. The steak frites is budget beef with frozen chips, the only French thing about it being the name. The wine list, which should be a highlight of any French-themed restaurant, is marked up dramatically. You are paying restaurant prices for supermarket-quality wine that is rarely stored or served at the proper temperature. For older diners who might appreciate good wine with their meal, Café Rouge represents particularly poor value. What really frustrates us is the pricing. Café Rouge charges as if they are providing quality French bistro food, when they are serving microwaved meals that cost them pennies to produce. You are paying for atmosphere and French vocabulary while eating food that is indistinguishable from any other mid-range chain. Number 6. Pizza Hut. This American pizza chain has declined dramatically from its earlier years when it represented something novel in the UK market. Today, Pizza Hut serves some of the lowest quality pizza available from any major chain, with ingredient quality that is genuinely shocking when you examine what you are actually eating. The pizza bases are frozen and mass-produced, made with the cheapest possible flour and loaded with dough conditioners to create that soft, breadstick-like texture. The tomato sauce comes from industrial drums, and it is sweetened heavily because British palates have been trained to expect pizza sauce that is more like ketchup than actual tomato. The cheese is bulk mozzarella that is more oil and stabilizers than actual cheese. It is designed to melt consistently and stay stretchy under heat lamps, not to taste good or provide nutritional value. The toppings, from pepperoni to vegetables, are all lowest-grade bulk ingredients chosen for cost rather than quality. The salad bar, like Harvester, creates an illusion of healthy options while being laden with high-calorie dressings and accompaniments. But at least Harvester's main courses pretend to be something other than pure carbs and cheese. Pizza Hut's entire menu is built around cheap carbohydrates, low-quality fats, and excessive salt. For older adults, especially those managing diabetes, weight, or digestive issues, Pizza Hut represents one of the worst possible restaurant choices. The refined carbohydrates spike blood sugar dramatically. The cheese and oil content is harsh on digestive systems that slow with age. The sodium levels are dangerous for anyone with blood pressure concerns. Number 5. TGI Fridays. This American chain restaurant has perhaps the most egregious disconnect between price and quality of any establishment on this list. TGI Fridays charges premium casual dining prices for food that is almost entirely pre-prepared, frozen, and finished on site with minimal actual cooking. The famous loaded skins, mozzarella sticks, and other appetizers are all frozen products from bulk suppliers, fried or baked to order, and served with bottled sauces. The burgers are frozen patties. The ribs are pre-cooked and vacuum-sealed. The fajitas arrive as prepared components that just need heating and assembly. What makes TGI Fridays particularly problematic is the portion sizes and the way everything is engineered to be as rich and heavy as possible. The meals are designed to feel indulgent and American-sized, which means they are loaded with far more fat, salt, and sugar than any reasonable meal should contain. A typical TGI Fridays main course with an appetizer and sides can easily exceed 2,000 calories, contain 6 to 8 grams of salt, and include over 100 grams of fat. That is more than most older adults should consume in an entire day, let alone one meal. The portions are so excessive that even sharing dishes still results in overconsumption. For seniors, the combination of extreme portion sizes, poor ingredient quality, and aggressive pricing makes TGI Fridays one of the worst possible choices. You are paying £15 to £20 for main courses that cost the restaurant perhaps £3 to £4 to produce from frozen components, and you are consuming meals that are genuinely harmful to health when eaten regularly. Number 4. Chiquito. This Tex-Mex chain has survived multiple closures and restructurings, clinging to high streets despite serving some of the most mediocre Mexican-inspired dishes available. The food is not Mexican or even good Tex-Mex. It is British chain restaurant food with taco shells and fajita plates. The meat in dishes, whether chicken, beef, or pork, is pre-seasoned, pre-cooked, frozen, and simply reheated when ordered. The beans come from industrial tins. The rice is instant or pre-cooked bulk rice. The tortillas are mass-produced from the cheapest suppliers. The guacamole is not fresh avocado, it is a paste from a tub, kept green with preservatives rather than lime juice. The margaritas and other cocktails heavily marketed to customers are made from pre-mixed bases rather than fresh ingredients. You are drinking flavored alcohol with artificial colors rather than cocktails made with fresh fruit and quality spirits. For older adults, these sugary, artificially flavored drinks represent empty calories and alcohol consumption disguised as fun, festive beverages. What is particularly concerning about Chiquito is how heavily everything is fried and how salt-laden the entire menu is. Mexican food can be healthy when properly prepared with fresh ingredients, beans, lean proteins, and vegetables. Chiquito's version is fried, cheese-covered, and swimming in salty sauces. Number 3. Prezzo. Another Italian chain that has been circling the drain financially for years, closing locations, restructuring, and desperately trying to compete in an oversaturated market. Prezzo positions itself as slightly upmarket, casual Italian, charging more than Bella Italia while delivering similar or worse quality. The pasta, pizza, and risotto dishes are all made from the same industrial playbook as other chains. Pre-made sauces, frozen bases, bulk ingredients, minimal actual cooking. But Prezzo charges 10 to 15% more based on slightly fancier decor and pretensions of being more sophisticated. The pricing is particularly galling because you are paying £14 to £18 for pasta dishes that cost perhaps £2 to £3 to produce from pre-made components. The markup is astronomical relative to the quality being delivered. For older diners on fixed incomes, spending this much on reheated industrial Italian food represents terrible value. The wine list, like Café Rouge, is marked up aggressively. You are paying £6 to £8 for glasses of wine that retail for £6 to £7 a bottle in supermarkets. The restaurant is banking on customers not realizing they are paying 400 to 500% markup for average wine. Number 2. Strada. This Italian chain, also owned by the same group as Café Rouge and Bella Italia, represents a pattern of restaurant groups creating multiple brands that all serve essentially the same food with different names and slightly different decor. Strada was positioned as the slightly more uppy market option, targeting customers willing to pay more for the perception of better quality. But the food is indistinguishable from Bella Italia. The same pre-made sauces, the same frozen pizza bases, the same bulk ingredients. The only real differences are the interior design and the prices, which are 20 to 25% higher for effectively identical food. What makes this particularly problematic for older customers is that the group specifically targets them with discount offers and loyalty programs, creating the impression of value while serving meals that are overpriced for what they actually are. The midweek deals and pension promotions are designed to get seniors through the door regularly, building habits around eating at these restaurants despite the poor quality. For seniors managing budgets carefully, being drawn in by these deals and not realizing you are eating reheated processed food at prices that do not reflect quality is particularly frustrating. You could buy better ingredients and prepare better meals at home for a fraction of the cost. Number 1. The absolute worst restaurant chain for seniors to eat at, Hungry Horse. This Green King-owned pub chain represents the absolute bottom of British casual dining. Everything about Hungry Horse is designed to deliver the cheapest possible food at prices that seem reasonable, while keeping just enough quality to avoid immediate revolt. The menu reads like a greatest hits of processed pub food. Burgers come from frozen patties, chicken arrives from bulk suppliers and is likely water injected. Fish is the cheapest frozen fillets available, and everything is served with frozen chips and pre-made sauces. Nothing is cooked from scratch, nothing is fresh. Nothing represents the kind of pub cooking that used to define British pubs. The portion sizes are aggressively large, designed to create perceived value through sheer volume. But these massive plates of fried, processed food are poor nutrition. A typical Hungry Horse main course contains from 1,500 to 2,000 calories, 4 to 6 grams of salt, and fat that exceeds reasonable daily allowances. What makes Hungry Horse the worst choice for seniors is the combination of low quality, oversized portions, aggressive pricing on alcohol, and atmospheres that can be genuinely unpleasant. These are not comfortable neighborhood pubs. They are high-volume, high-turnover establishments focused on shifting as much cheap food and drink as possible. The lighting is often dim, which makes menus hard to read for older eyes. Noise levels can be uncomfortable for people with hearing difficulties. Tables are often cramped, service feels rushed because staff are stretched thin across large spaces. Everything about the experience is designed for volume and turnover rather than customer comfort or satisfaction. For seniors with dietary restrictions, managing health conditions, or simply wanting a decent meal in comfortable surroundings, Hungry Horse may be the worst possible choice. The food can be actively harmful if eaten regularly. The portions encourage overeating. The atmosphere is often unpleasant, and the prices, while they seem cheap, represent terrible value when you consider what you are actually getting. 12 restaurant chains, 12 different varieties of decline, corner cutting, and betrayal of what restaurant dining should mean. From Toby Carvery's industrial roasts to Hungry Horse's processed pub food, these establishments have systematically reduced quality while maintaining prices and trading on familiarity and habit. For older generations who remember when eating out meant proper cooking, real ingredients, and honest portions, these modern chains represent a fundamental shift toward food that is engineered rather than cooked, that is designed for profit margins rather than nourishment, and that is built on marketing, atmospheres, and deals rather than delivering quality meals. The companies running these restaurants are counting on several things. They are counting on habit and familiarity to override concerns about quality. They are counting on deals and discounts to make the pricing seem reasonable. They are counting on most customers not realizing how heavily processed and pre-prepared everything is. But you have choices. Britain has thousands of independent restaurants, cafes, and pubs serving food made from real ingredients by people who actually care about cooking. Yes, they might cost slightly more than chain restaurant deals, but you are getting real food prepared fresh by businesses that value quality over volume. For seniors, managing health conditions, watching budgets, or simply wanting meals that nourish rather than just fill, avoiding these chains is not about snobbery. It is about refusing to accept that industrial, processed food served in themed environments is an acceptable substitute for proper restaurant meals. If this changed how you will look at chain restaurants from now on, subscribing would really help us reach more people who need to understand what they are actually being served when they eat at these establishments. We are investigating places that millions of British families trust without questioning, and what we are finding is often disturbing. Let us know in the comments which of these chains you are avoiding now, and whether you have found better independent alternatives worth recommending.